Oh.
1 second, Carol.
Yeah, should I push continue now?
Hmm?
I have the screen that just said this meeting is being recorded.
Oh yeah, I did just for our. I said it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, welcome everyone. I have Carol Kaminsky here. She's the senior lecturer in dance and is the dance program director at the Frost School of Music, where she teaches dance movement therapy, modern dance, dance methodology, creative dance for children, improvisation, composition, and stretching and body work. And she's also was a student of Thomas Armour and Robert Pike at the Miami Conservatory, which is now the Thomas Armour Youth Ballet that some of you might have been involved with at some time or know about it or have a friend in that. So anyway, welcome, Carol.
Hi, thank you, Melissa. Thank you for inviting me to be here on Friday. And I'm really happy to see so many people here for mindfulness, which is what we're going to be looking at today. So I know all of you are in some way involved in music, and I'm mostly like a dance person. So the two, of course, are very intertwined. And so we couldn't dance as wonderfully as we do with that, all the wonderful music that we have here at Frost. So today I'm switching my roles a little bit. I'm not going to be teaching you dancing, but I could in the future if you want to learn that. We're going to be talking about mindfulness. And I wanted to start today by doing a little poll and asking you what you think mindfulness is. So I have a poll here, and it's the very first one that says, what is mindfulness? So let's see if I launch it. There's a lot of different polls all together in one, but we'll just do the first part of it. What is mindfulness? Is it making your mind blank with thoughts? Is it having only peaceful thoughts? Is it noticing your thoughts? Or is it thinking about thinking until your mind is full? So if you want to take a vote for that, take whatever guess you want. It's all anonymous. Nobody knows how you voted. Oh, is everybody voting on all the different polls? All right, that's great. Oh yeah, the last one, there is a picture, but we'll do that in just a minute. Okay, great. We got a lot of good ideas going on here in our poll, just to start with. Hey, if you're answering all the questions, that's fine. We'll just look at the results little by little. And in fact, I can show you the picture. I can probably share my screen and show you the picture. Let me know if it works. No, didn't work. So that's the picture in case you want to change your answer. All right, so just take another minute to finish up with the poll. With all the different polls. Great, still see a few more people who are coming in. Great. I don't know if anybody else wants to see the picture again. I'll share that screen one more time in case you didn't vote on if this is a rabbit, a duck, or both. Okay, great. Good, so I'm going to end the poll. I think most everybody has voted. And let's see what people thought. All right, so the first thing was about mindfulness. Is it making your mind blank? 7%. Maybe just having peaceful thoughts? Nah. Noticing your thoughts? Yes. That's what mindfulness is really about. And most of us, we know that we think a lot of the time. We have a lot of thoughts, and it's really hard sometimes to know what to do with all of them. So mindfulness is a way of paying attention to what you're actually, not only what you're thinking about, but to what you're doing, so that you can be more focused and more centered. So if you think about it, there's a lot of times people think, oh, if only my mind could go blank. And that's really not possible. And of course, that's not really the goal of mindfulness. The goal of mindfulness is to just notice your thoughts. So that was perfect. That was great. Good. So I thought we would start with a little mindfulness practice today. And that we would just start with, first of all, just noticing what's happening in the present moment, right? So I have some sound that we're going to work with today. Is the sound of the bells. And the reason why we listen to the sound of the bells is to really experiment with what does it really feel like to be in the present moment. All right. So if you notice a time where you walked from one place to the next, and then you arrived at your destination, you were like, I don't even remember getting here, right? Because your mind was somewhere else. You were thinking about something along the way, and so you didn't really notice like your steps as you were walking, or you didn't notice who was around you. You were just kind of like your own little bubble in your own little world. And then you got there, it was like, wow, I'm here, right? So mindfulness is about paying attention and being present with what we're doing right here and right now. So I think as musicians, you already have a lot of mindfulness, because when you play an instrument, you really have to pay attention to the sound. You have to pay attention to the movement that you're making with your instrument to produce the best kind of sound. So you're paying attention very carefully. This type of sound that we're going to have is the sound of the bell. It has a beginning sound, and then the sound of the bell begins to fade away. And as it begins to fade away, right, keep listening to the sound until you don't hear it anymore, until you notice that the sound of the bell has gone away. All right, and then we'll do that 3 times, because we always like to practice. Mindfulness is about practicing, just like making music is about practicing. and then I'll get your feedback in the chat as to what you thought about it. So what did you notice about the thought that you were having while you were listening to the bells? Okay, so someone put in the chat, it hurts your ears. Maybe it's louder on Zoom than it is here in my room. All right, so you might notice, oh, yeah, that's kind of like a little shock to my ears. Anything else? Okay, maybe some of the different sounds. One time I rang it, the pitch was higher. Great, so you were really listening very carefully, all right? Right, or maybe you just noticed that the audio in Zoom is a little inconsistent or distorted. What about, good, okay, so you noticed that you had some preference. I like the sound, I didn't like the sound. Okay, you could meditate on it. All right, maybe the sound each time got a little bit higher. Right. So some of you thought it was calming. Some of you thought it was like, maybe it was irritating, it hurt your ears. Great, so these are all very valid. There's not a right or a wrong answer. And it's going to be different for everybody because we all experience the world in different ways. Right? So that might be something you would like to do and helps you to relax. And maybe, I love this, it was the last thing I want to hear when relaxing, right? You have a preference for listening to something else. Great. So mindfulness is saying, you know, if we really pay attention to the things around us, we can make a judgment about them. I like it, I don't like it, all right? And the mindfulness part is noticing when we're making a judgment about it, right? And that piece is very important because in our lives, we have stress, because remember on the poll, we asked about different stressors in your life, right? We cannot avoid things that we don't like. They're always out there, and that's part of life, right? So if it's not a pleasant sound, it's you know, it's going to be something else that's unpleasant. So how do we live with that? How do we not just tolerate the discomfort of something or appreciate the beauty of something, but also know what we want to do about it? What choices are we going to make? Are we just going to respond to something automatically and make a judgment about it and say, hey, that's not good? Or are we going to sit there and say, this isn't very pleasant, but let me see what I really want to do about it? All right. So mindfulness gives us this opportunity to decide how we want to act and how we want to respond, coming from a place of awareness rather than just reacting to everything automatically. So we're going to listen to the sound of the bells one more time. I'm just going to ring them once. And then we're just going to continue listening just for a moment, because again, mindfulness is always about practicing. and noticing what's happening from moment to moment. And just notice if you're listening with your eyes open or with your eyes closed. And even though the sound of the bell has gone away, can you still hear the bell, like in your memory? Or if you feel the vibration, some of you wrote in the chat, I feel the vibration. Where in your body do you feel the vibration? And then if you can expand your field of awareness in your space, can you hear things that are going on in your room or even outside your room? Maybe your house is really noisy right now. Maybe it's really quiet. And if you just listen and pay attention on purpose and without judging it. And if you can, even you might notice the sound of your own breath, breathing in and breathing out. Or if you're sitting in a chair on the floor or lying on your bed, maybe you can feel the cushion underneath you. Or if you're holding your cat, you might feel the softness or the comfort of your animal. So just being aware, opening your senses and just being very present. Some of it you'll like and some of it you won't like. But that's good to know where your thoughts are and how you judge things. And then just bring yourself back. Just take a moment to come back and say, hey, that was a moment where I just stopped. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to pay attention to what was happening right here and right now. We call that a moment of mindfulness, all right? Where we just kind of like, it's like a mini timeout, right? So usually what happens in your life, someone asks you a question, you try to give an answer. Or you don't want to answer the question and you try to like run away. Something happens, right? And this is a moment where you would stop and pause and not really do anything. You would just take a moment in between trying to solve a problem. And so it's about not solving a problem, but just being right here and right now. So in mindfulness, the benefit of that little pause, that little stop in between things, is it gives us a moment to like calm down, to step back, to evaluate, am I reacting to this? And can I make a different choice? So I think that one of the benefits of doing this for me is that when I have a lot of work to do, because as a teacher, we always have a lot of work to do, and as a student, you do too. It can get overwhelming, and you feel like, I'll never catch up, I'll never catch up, I'll never get it all right, I'll never get it all together. So this is just taking a pause and saying, it's going to be okay, I can handle this, all right? When we get to that place where things get overwhelmed is when it feels like it's out of control. So just taking a moment to calm down, like some of you said in the chat, just take a moment, just pause, right? We have a little word for that. It's called stop, which is S-T-O-P, stop, take a breath, observe, and then proceed. So that's what we did. We stopped, we listened, felt our breath, and then we can move on from there. So I thought it'd be interesting for us to go back to the poll for a minute and to see what is stress, right? And it's also different over time. So let's look at the first one where everybody says, okay, what's stressful for you right now? So still a lot of people feeling a pressure to do well. And in school or as a musician, there's some concerns like health, violence. Those were more prominent right now in our society as to what's going on with the pandemic and the coronavirus. And also that we're more staying at home rather than going to school. But even 3 or 4 months ago, going to school was a lot higher stress and homework was really high, right? We still always have the pressure to do well, right? And health was still maybe a beginning of a concern. And here we weren't really into much of the Black Lives Matter movement quite yet, so it wasn't in our consciousness. But even a year ago, right, things were different. Pressure to do well in homework was really a big concern. So some things change over time, some things don't. Right now, as you have a long time still as students, so that stress or that pressure to do well and to get your homework in place and all of that is going to be with you for a while. But things do change over time, even if it does take a long time. And that's the nature of our world, is that things are always changing. But just think about that. If you have a stress right now, it will probably change, and it will be different, and it will get better. And so I feel like mindfulness gives us like a lot of hope. We can handle the stresses we have and it'll get better. So let's just take a couple minutes to just do nothing and listen to the sound of our breath. Yeah, it says, right? It says, if it were just easy, actually mindfulness is super hard. It's a simple practice, but it's really hard to do. That's why we have to continually practice. That's why we're going to practice again. So this time we're going to step a little bit back from our screen so that you have some space, right? And to just stretch. And we're going to just stretch up a little bit. Take a breath in and then open your arms and stretch out a little bit. Take another breath in. And then once more, we're going to stretch forward. And then coming back up to the center. And once more out. Exhale forward. And see if you can just do it one more time. Just breathe and out and forward, and just feel that sense of your breath. And then bringing your hands back down to your legs. And then if you feel comfortable, you could close your eyes or keep your eyes open. And then just take another breath in. And sometimes we do what we call counting breath. So when you feel like, oh, my mind is going too fast, it's really thinking about too much things, I have this pressure to do well. And just take a moment to breathe out and see if you can really feel the breath going in through your nose and going out through your nose. And you might want to count so that as you breathe in, you count 1, 2, 3. But as you breathe out, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're breathing out twice as slow as we breathe in. And if you can actually control your out breath to be a little slower than your in breath, you can really get in touch with the parasympathetic nervous system in your body that helps you to feel calm. So you breathe in and breathe out twice as slow. Or you can count, breathing in 1, 2, 3, and breathing out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just making this space around us like a little breathing space. And we can do that for a minute to 3 minutes. It doesn't take that much time just to focus on the breath. And as you breathe in and out, you can say, as I breathe in, I'm aware that I am breathing in. And as I breathe out, I'm aware that I am breathing out. And if I'm breathing, I'm also becoming calm. So breathing in, I become calm. And if I'm calm, I'm better able to handle whatever is coming my way, the pressure or staying at home, whatever it is. Because we can handle things a lot better when we're calm than when we're in that moment of stress. So you can say, I am becoming calm. I can handle this. I am breathing. I am becoming calm. So if I'm calm, I'm better able to handle the stresses that are coming my way. Great. So thank you for taking that experiment into the breathing space. And if you'd like to, you can take a moment to chat. How was that to just take some time and create a breathing space for yourself? So while it's not so easy to deal with all the stresses all at once, it's a lot easier to just take one breath. And if we can take one breath and then another and become calm, that might be the way that you can just start to handle some of these overwhelming pressures that you guys are facing. Great. And if you struggled with the breathing space, if you felt restless or bored or like, oh, what does this really do? Skeptical, if you have doubts, that's all fine too. That's all fine too. That's part of the process, is just noticing how our minds react when we try to do something that we don't normally do. We don't, because everything on the outside is calling our attention. And we're like, what's going on? What's going on? But this is different. This is like inside. So you might, your mind might go, whoa, hey, I don't know about this stuff. And that's okay. Good. I'm glad it felt good to many of you. All right. Good. It's good to know when you're skeptical, and it's also good to be skeptical, because I really feel like you have to try it out for yourself and see what works for you. Good. Skepticism can be a very healthy coping skill. I like that. And we just want to keep an open mind. So ask lots of questions and be open for many answers. Good. All right, we're going to go to the picture of the duck and the rabbit. Whoops. Is my poll here? My poll is here somewhere. All right. So those that answered that the picture is both, yes, there is a duck and a rabbit, and it's in one picture. And we'll take a look at it. Let's see, where is it? Goodbye, poll. Hello, duck. Hello, rabbit. All right, good. This one is pretty easy. Type of pictures where you have two, this type of artwork where you see two pictures in the same diagram. There's a lot of them on the internet. There's one I really like. I couldn't grab it. It's a young woman and an old woman, and you can see both pictures. But yeah, there's the duck. The face of the duck is on this side. The face of the rabbit's on that side. It's a duck rabbit, also called a ducket, or it could be called a wreck. I don't know. You'd have to decide. So it depends on how we look at things, right? How we see things or how we don't. The way we choose to look at something is also a mindfulness practice. And so first of all, a lot of the things that goes on in our minds is not even really true. We make up a lot of stories all the time about things like what's going to happen in the future. Or we're thinking about the past and we're trying to ruminate over the past and why did I say that? Or why did I do that? So we can look at things like, oh, I should have done this differently or whatever. So we're constantly looking at things, from our own perceptions. So a lot of the stories that we tell ourselves in our own minds are not true. That's why we thought mindfulness is not thinking about thinking, but our minds are usually full of stories that are not true. So don't believe your thoughts all the time, because our thoughts are not facts. Our thoughts are stories that we tell ourselves. Look at a little story right now, but if you can do this with an ice cube, this would really be good. So you need 3 things if you have them in your house. If not, don't worry. You need an ice cube, a cup, and a paper towel. So if you can grab those things, put the ice cube in a cup and bring it back with a paper towel, that'd be awesome. And then if you got it, let me know in the chat that you're ready. You can raise your hand or give me the thumbs up. Why don't you go to reactions and give me a thumbs up if you got your ice, your cup, and your paper towel. Grab mine here. So you got some ice in there. Great. Good. Okay. Great. I see a lot of people have got their ice, a cup, and a paper towel. Okay. So let's see. All right. So what I have here is an ice cube and in a cup. I got the paper towel here because it's gonna be a little bit wet or messy. So make sure you don't have anything important underneath your hand. We're going to do an experiment, all right, to see if we can notice the connection of our thought to our body, and the ice cube is our stress right now, okay? We're gonna take the ice cube in a moment and we're gonna hold it in our bare hand, okay? In our bare hand. So I have a rather small ice cube. I wish I had more of a challenge. I might have a different one in there. I might get a bigger ice cube. Okay, great. So before we do that, we're gonna sit here and be mindful of, before we even really put the ice cube in our hand, we're gonna think about the ice cube in our hand. And we're gonna think about what it's, and am I gonna like it or not? Is it gonna be cold, uncomfortable? Is it gonna feel great? And now, so just notice what your thoughts are even before you do it. And now you're going to just get the ice cube very close to your hand, and I want you to notice any sensations going on in your hand. What do you notice right before you put the ice cube in your hand? What are you anticipating? What do you feel? And then just allow that ice cube to come into your hand, right? And now we're just going to hold it. Good. So your ice cube, now just pay attention. Notice that place where the ice cube is really touching your hand. And maybe, you know, how it's melting or not. Is it impossible to hold it any longer and you have to put it in the cup? You know, nobody wants you to suffer. So you could put it back in the cup if you want to. You have options. Or you can continue holding it, even if it's a little uncomfortable, or maybe it's not so bad as you thought. Maybe you're competing with yourself to see how long you can hold it. Or maybe it was really uncomfortable at first, but now it's actually feeling better. Maybe it feels great now. Good. How are you doing? What is your mindfulness telling you about your experience? Can you still breathe? Are you aware of sensation in your hand? Did you put your ice cube back in your cup? Whatever you did, that's fine. And then when you're ready, right, you can bring your ice cube back to your cup or whatever you could eat it. And then just notice the sensation in your hand. What thoughts do you have now? Like, wow, I'm glad that's over. Or like, that was fun. Whatever it was. Good, and then just put into the chat what your experience was from doing it. What did you notice about how your mind gave you some information and your experience? What was it really like? Did it match what you thought it was going to be like? Was it worse than you imagined? Or was it, better than you imagined? You could handle it. Yeah, you could think of your problems like ice cubes. I love that. Right? So maybe even just like, right, we could think of holding our problems. So we can think of it was worse. It was worse than you thought it would be. All right. So in that case, were you able to like say, hey, I can put this back. I have a choice. All right. Some of you have done this before, right? So you can compete with yourself and see, right, if you have a record. Because that's what we do sometimes, right? We compete with ourselves and see how much we can take on. But do we need to? Right? So now some of you are saying how much your hand hurt. How is it now? How is it now that the ice cube has gone away? Did you survive? Did you get through it? Were you able to tolerate the discomfort and breathe anyway and still be present and still be mindful? All right. So some of you are still cube, right? Great. Good. And I support that we're getting in the chat, like supporting you or hanging in there. I think that's really incredible. When things don't feel good, one of the things we can do is to give each other hope and support, right? That you can get through it. Great. Good. And just keep giving each other support to get cube experience. So that's what, meditation, mindfulness will tell us that there's a, it's a sort of a practice that you can do individually, but in our day-to-day life, we're not always just like closing our eyes and making everything quiet, right? That's not real life. Mindfulness is 24/7. It's whatever you're doing at the moment, you can pay attention and act with purpose and without judgment. So if you are giving someone help and support, or receiving support from someone else, how can you do that in a mindful way? So you don't want to be like dragging each other down, and right, because we know that that feeds on each other. But how can you know, encourage each other in a very mindful, supportive way? All right. So we help keep each other calm. We help each other to be aware and to stay with our purpose. And when someone's making a judgment, I think you're jumping to conclusions here. Maybe there's another way you can see it, right? From a different side. All right. So it's almost the time together today. And we'll kind of end our session today with coming back to the breath and coming back to this idea of our mindfulness purpose. One of the most incredible mindfulness practices is gratitude. And you might see one gratitude right now is, I'm grateful I don't have the ice in my hand anymore, right? So we rarely think about what's wrong when something's right. So in other words, if I had a toothache, right, that would be my whole day. It would be like, oh my God, my tooth hurts, my tooth hurts, I can't stand it, right? Because we know that's really painful. But when my teeth don't hurt, do I go around saying, hey, I appreciate that I don't have a toothache today, right? We don't think of our lives like that. So gratitude works that way. We don't always think about what we're grateful for, but yet we need to do that practice to elevate the other side. So we're just going to end today by just doing a little grateful, mindful practice. If you want to just come back to your breath and just notice one thing that you're grateful for right now. And it could be for your music lesson, or for breathing, or for not having an ice cube in your hand anymore, whatever it is. And let's use the chat not for anything else, but just for gratitude right now. And maybe you can put one thing in there came to you that you don't always focus on, but when you really pay attention to it, you really allow yourself to feel the gratitude. So it may be different for everyone. And if you're not feeling particularly grateful for anything right now, that's okay. I would encourage you to look for at least one small thing that you can feel grateful for, because research has shown that when you do that, it really does change your day. It can change your mood. It can change your level of stress. It can really change you as a person. Great. Good. And if anybody put something in the chat that you're for, you can do that. Good. It's grateful for food. Yes. So stay healthy, everybody. Eat some good food. Hug your dogs. Stay healthy, your life. Feel the music. Great. Thankful for your friends, your support, your family. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed this master class. Great. So have a good rest of your day. And stay mindful. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Thank you.